Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you enjoyed my last video. And thank you very much for the comments that you guys left. It was super exciting to read the warm comments from you guys. Okay, so very interesting. Today we will be talking about career transitioning. I launched Luminous Consult very recently. Luminous Consult is a brand just focused on enhancing like career employability, helping you make the best decisions career-wise. And one of the questions that I've gotten the most, and even for people that are sort of coming for consultation, 30 minutes or 1 hour, is how can they transition from one career to the other? I think there was an Harvard research that talked about the fact that Gen Z's transition career at least once every 2 years, I think every 18 months. Millennials do transit career once every 3 years, but Gen Z's transition in their career every 18 months. And I think that's very volatile, but it's just a reality of things. People are now have the options to explore. There is a theory and an essay about the delusion of freedom, but that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is just to shed more light on how the right things you should put in place, or how to map out a career transition plan. Maybe that's a good title. Yeah, that's a good title. So let's start. You're trying to move from one career to the other. What are the things you should do? The first thing is that you should research. And it sounds very cliche, but research is very important. This is what I mean. Because I'm in HR, a lot of people speak to me and they want to transition into HR, and I say, oh, why? Right. And sometimes one of the questions I even ask is, go and find out about HR. Write me a one-pager on why you want to go into HR, what HR is about, the divisions in HR. And sometimes they come back and then we have a further conversation. And sometimes they come back and they're like, yeah, I've read about HR. I'm not interested in HR anymore. It just shows how much clarity you can get about what you want to do. And the reason is very simple. Sometimes we just like the idea of something. We do not like the exact thing. That's punchline. I'll say that again. Sometimes we just like the idea of something. We do not like that exact thing. I'm very sure that if I ask you, there are some of you that studied law because you had an aunt who was a badass lawyer, was wearing high heels, was driving a car, so she, had these high heels, prim and proper suits and all that. Some of us chose different careers because we liked the perception that the career has shown. For example, I knew people that went into investment banking just because of how lucrative it was. And then they get in and realize they have to put in like 80 hours of work every week. And they're like, who sent me work? Right? So sometimes you have to find out if you're really interested in that career. One. Another thing you want to research is what are the requirements of getting into the career, right? What certifications do you need to take? What professional certifications do you need to write? What is the barrier of entry? This is what I mean. There are some roles that if you do not have it, for example, if you are not like ICANN certified, you cannot be an auditor, right? So you cannot just wake up one day and say, I want to be an auditor. You have to, the first step is probably to write ICANN. But you can wake up one day and you want to be a product designer, right? And then you go on a 90 days, or we'll get there, but you go on a like 90 or 180 days journey about learning Figma. And then at the end of 180 days, depending on how many hours you committed per day, you might be as good as someone that's been designing for 1 year or for 1.5 years. So that means that the barrier of entry for becoming a product designer is lower than the barrier of entry for becoming an auditor. So you want to research what's the barrier of entry. The third thing you want to research is how commercialable or how marketable is this role, right? So what is the earning power in this role? I was joking with my friend that you probably have seen him tweet about it a lot. His name is JMB, about how, there was a trend on Twitter. They were like, oh, data scientists got this for me. Backend engineering got this for me. That would HR people be able to jump to this trend and say, HR got it for me? Majorly because averagely, HR is not as lucrative as all these roles that have been mentioned. It's not just money. There are other things you want to check. How, for example, easily transitionable is it? How replicable it is? If you are an HR in Nigeria with the right kind of certifications, you can apply for HR abroad. There are some roles that they are so Nigerian specific that if you are going to practice abroad, for example, if you are a barista in Nigeria, if you are going to practice abroad, either through LLM or something, you might have to be certified. It's not even you might have to. You have to take for example, if you're going to practice in New York, you have to take the New York bar. You are going to practice in UK, you have to take the London bar, right? So what are the requirements? How easily is it to transition into the role that you're looking for? What are the three things I said we should research? One, research if it is you really like the role or you just like the idea of the role. Secondly, research about the barrier of entry. How easy is it to enter? Thirdly, research how marketable and how valuable it is. Now, when you're done researching, you should definitely map out a transition plan. I already mentioned something like that in my illustration. So, I want to become an HR professional. This is May. I want to become an HR professional by January 2025. What are the things I need to do between now and January 2025? I have to take CIPM courses. I have to take HRCI. I have to start checking out courses on Coursera. I want to look for 20 HR professionals on LinkedIn and connect with them, right? I want to move from, so I had a friend, my name is Miriam. I probably will link a YouTube channel on that because she transitioned into data analytics, right? But she did not just transition. She moved from program and project management to data analytics. And what did she do? She started by taking courses. She signed up on Utiva and ALX. And I think for her first 6 months, all she did was to take courses, right? And then afterwards, she joined communities, women in data community, just different community about data, analysis, data science, data engineering, before she finally got her first role. So do you want to take professional certifications? Do you want to connect with people in the field? Do you want to have lunch? Do you have to have catch-up call? Do you want to start attending the conferences that this kind of people attend, right? Free PR for my friend. If you're looking to transition into marketing, for instance, I have a friend that runs a program called Marketing Therapy. It's very hilarious, but like you also get to just listen to the problems and challenges that marketers face and also get solutions into, even get a real-time idea of what it looks like to be a marketer beyond what you see on Twitter. So what are your career transition plan? Is this education? Is it courses? Is it whatever it is? It's very important that you map out a transition plan. Next is to assess your current skills and career capital. Now, what is your career capital? Cal Newport defines your career capital as the aggregation of experiences that you have acquired over time. For example, I'm sorry, I'm going to use HR again because that's my field. When people are looking to transition into HR, one of the most amazing HR professionals are people that were once in people-facing role. Maybe they were leaders, they were customer experience person, they were project management people. So if you've been like in a people-facing role or you've been a project-based role, you will likely thrive in HR. Why? Because HR is the combination of managing people and processes. So that's a career capital that you have. You are looking to transition into marketing and you have a blog. You've been blogging for the last 5 years. Yes, all you do about on the blog is to talk about your exes that broke your heart, the new books you are reading, the movies you are watching, but you've been writing. And so if you're transitioning into marketing, you probably want to start with content writing because knowingly or unknowingly, you've been writing content on your blog. It's not just a professional kind of content. And so you can prune that raw writing skills that you have and shift it to product writing, to research writing, to content writing. So sit down and say, hey, I want to move into this new field. What do I already have? For example, my friend Miriam that moved into data analytics. She was an economist. We spent 4 years doing statistics in school. So she understood numbers, she understood analytics. She was also very badass with Excel before she even started data analytics. So a very strong knowledge of statistics, of how numbers work, plus a knowledge of Excel sort of laid a foundation for her to transition into data science, data analytics fully. So take a stock. What are the things that you already have right now? Assess those skills and those career capital so that you are not starting from the scratch when you already have something that can work for you. And the next thing, of course, is to apply to opportunities. And I intentionally did not say apply to jobs. So applying to opportunities can be like volunteering. It can be like joining an NGO where you have to offer your services for free, right? It might be like, for example, I've had people come to work, even reach out to me to say, hey, Emmanuel, do you have something? I'm looking to get into content writing. I want to write some content. Do you have a platform? I've had people design for me for free. And then just because they were designing for me for free, I ran an initiative a while ago, a Word a Day, and we had someone who was looking to go into UI UX. I usually started with graphics, right, before moving to using Figma and CorelDRAW. And my initiative was where he perfected his skills. So sometimes volunteer, you might be lucky and like your first application is your first job. You might be lucky and your first application is your first internship. But apply to opportunities, because I think it was one of my friends Oyin that posted that the best way to learn something is to actually to start doing it. That she was talking about ads, like Google Ads, SEO, and all that. So sometimes after you've done the 6 months learning and 6 months taking courses, you actually need to start applying to opportunities. If you've listened to me talk about my HR journey, I always talk about how I volunteered with a community called Ninja Startups, run by Aramide Abe, as a recruitment assistant. And majorly all I did was to recruit for startups in our communities and help them find the right talents. And that was one of my major foundations when I was transitioning into HR. So again, don't forget from where we started. We started by talking about research, and we talked about the things you should research. You should research the role to be sure that you do not just like the idea of the role, you actually love the role. You should research about the barrier of entry. How easy is it for me to transition into this career? And then you should also research how valuable it is. Is it valuable? How much money can you make? How rich can you become? How impactful? I have a friend that works with it's not even NGO now, it's another part of NGO. Jesus, he would smack me when he says this. He works where he works, what they do is actually to donate fund. And I was teasing him and I was like, do you think my work is just to donate fund? No. So you actually need to research about how valuable and how impactful the field that you are looking to move is. And then next is to map out your career transition plan. Do not just say I want to do this and not have a plan, right? And then assess your skills, assess the things that you currently have and how those things can be good foundation for the next stage of the career that you want to move to. And then finally, apply to opportunities. It might be jobs, it might be volunteer activities, it might be volunteering with a community, but job is not going to land on your head forever, right? Even if God is going to dash you a job, it's going to come through a way, right? So reach out to people, reach out to communities and apply for opportunities. If you need further clarification, or you're trying to transition one career to the other and you need a career guide to hold you, you could fill the link below. Someone from Luminous Consult will reach out to you. Till my next video, I remain your favorite HR buddy, Emmanuel Fitz. Thank you.